Hi, I'm ED-SKaR, and as some of my viewers are becoming aware, my 3D printers, both of them, are having some, shall we say, issues. And so when I was set the challenge that I'm going to look at today, I was immediately quite interested because it involves the 3D pen. Now, my sister has recently pointed out that this 3D pen is actually the most reliable 3D thing that I've actually used. Well, there are many people in the community who are designing complete 3D build Nerf guns, or kind of foam dart guns. They're not really Nerf brand anymore, such as the MHP Turkey, which I need to reprint half of, and obviously I can't print those parts because my printer's broken. So won't be doing that. Sorry, Heath, that's going to be a while. So instead of making it with a 3D printer, would it be possible to make an entire Nerf gun with a 3D pen and an ample supply of, in this case, ABS or PLA? Well, certainly it's possible to build stuff with a 3D pen. A 3D printer is, of course, just a 3D pen mounted on a gantry. That's what makes it a printer. Which, of course, is why people calling 3D pens 3D printing pens very annoying, because a 3D pen is every part of a 3D printer except for the part of a 3D printer that makes it a printer. The XYZ control is what makes it a printer, of course. So it's possible to make parts with a 3D pen, and it's of course possible to build a shell with a 3D pen. For example, during the Ad Nauseam build, that side panel that replaced the battery door was made with a 3D pen, using the other side of the shell as a mould. But as with any other mechanical thing that's built, not every single component in it is manufactured in the same way. Even things like the turkey and the pigeon and the caliburn and all sorts of other things like that. You have springs and screws. In the case of the caliburn, you have the cylinder. That's not a 3D printed component, and I believe the barrel as well. Or at least I hope the barrel is not 3D printed. Printed barrel material is not great. And in the case with the flywheels, like the turkey, the motors are not 3D printed. And while you can sort of just about get away with 3D printing flywheels, they are not great. So the important question is, at what point do I draw the line? So obviously if I work with a flywheeler, I'm going to need to use injection molded flywheels and motors made in whatever methods that motors are made in. But even the flywheel cage, that's a very, very precise part that I'm not sure I can recreate with the pen. But then what about screw ports? If I put the whole shell together, can I use a screw port and a screw from the various scraps that I have and build the rest of it with a 3D pen? Does that still count? And if that counts, what about larger pieces? What about much larger pieces? What about building the entire shell out of fragments and just kind of gluing it together with the 3D pen? Does that count? Well, maybe. But in the spirit of the challenge, I'm going to make as much as is possible using the 3D pen. There's also the point to be made about what other tools I'm allowed. The 3D pen is, of course, a tool in its own right. And what it does is it adds material to, as you're sketching, it adds material to that location. So what if I need to remove material? Am I allowed to use a knife? Am I allowed to use a Dremel? Is that within the spirit of the challenge? What about if I need to reshape parts? If I used a hairdryer or a soldering iron even to just adjust the shape of things. And of course, going back to adding material, if I make two parts with the 3D pen, am I allowed to use the solvent weld to glue them together? So I think I'm going to start off with as close to the question as possible, using only the 3D pen as best I can. And answers in the comments of this video as to whether I should be allowed to use Dremel, knife, and all the other tools and all the other techniques that I've mentioned. So as you probably have expected, I have chosen to go with a flywheel design rather than a Springer. The forces involved, the precision involved is a lot easier for me to do flywheeler than a Springer. If it works well, I might do a Springer as well afterwards, but I doubt it will. So, sort of in keeping with the spirit of this, I have a 3D printed flywheel cage with some stock flywheels and motors from probably a Rapid Strike. I don't actually know what cage this is. It's marked AHK MK1 or M1 and 42.0. So it's a 42.0 cage with stock Hasbro motors and flywheels. So I imagine if I run this on a 2S, it will do relatively well. I can make a lever of some description, and in various other parts of this build I will be making quite a few levery type things. But to get the metal touching in such a way that it's not going to arc, more specifically arcing is going to be the problem there. So just for the sake of safety, I'm going to use a pre-made switch, and I'm going to use this flywheel cage as is. And I may end up using a few metal pins and screws in certain places. However, I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. Wish me luck. And let's see what we can achieve.